Sit back and relax while I listen to Train Kickers podcast. I'm Dave with my friend Dan. We plan to inform and entertain you everything miniature wargame related. On this episode of the podcast, we're going to go over what we've been doing, a good bit of news and some model reviews and all. And then for the main segment, we're going to talk about some battle reports and demos that we've been doing lately. Now, on to the show. All right, Dan, how are you on this recording later than normal, Saturday night? I tried to get this out earlier in the week, but it was I think
It's
kind of
been
busy
a
for both of us.
it's been a hectic week, but the good news is that I had
Mhm.
finally gotten my nameplates from Versatile Terrain, all 300 nameplates
Yeah.
for my
How big was
custodies.
the box?
The box was huge. He did a
Okay.
lot of good packing. Like out of the 300 nameplates, only one came broken, and he offered to replace it for free. He didn't even see a picture. Like he just said, "Oh, okay, broken. I'll replace it, and I'll send it out." And I was like, "Thank you." Yeah, so out of the 301, only came broken. Honestly, I think it was not even his fault. Definitely USPS.
Oh
But
yeah. I mean,
well, the box
even if
is
you tell them it's needs to be handled
yeah.
with care, it's only
Oh
going to get
yeah.
so much care.
It means two less kicks instead of three.
Yeah.
Um, no, but the box was like 12 inches by 12 inches, and it was multi-packed inside the box. With styrofoam and everything. And the nameplates are beautiful. I started posting pictures on my Instagram.
Yeah.
Cuban underscore Cuban underscore painting underscore minis. Um, and yeah, no, they're beautiful. I mean, it took me absolutely the painting was fine. I assembly lined it. You spray
Yeah.
it black, dry brush copper, and then dry brush even lighter silver for like a nice
All right.
burnish look. But
Still the
oh
300.
my god, gluing them on the base. Oh my god, never. Oh
Oh,
my
so
god.
that was the problem. I mean, I would think alone
Oh
just the painting is simple but time
well,
consuming because there's just so many.
yeah. No, what? So in order of like from least to most time consuming, it was the painting was the least. The second most time consuming was the organization because I had to organize where I wanted the names to go in certain groups, right? And the big thing why I chose the names was I had like 10 A names, 10 B names, 10 C names, D E F G, and so I didn't want
Okay.
to repeat like I didn't want all 15 wardens to be A. You know what I mean? So I had to like so I need 15 bases, so I picked two from A, maybe one from C, one from D. So I'd like randomize the names.
So there
Um,
was a pattern to the names in terms of A, B's, and C's. So then you had to randomize in it so they don't
roughly,
sound too similar.
yeah, roughly, because
Okay.
mostly because I had to pick from Proto-Germanic, Proto-Romanic, and Greek names, and some Egyptian too, because there are some custodians called Amun Ra. So
Okay.
I chose some of the Egyptian names as well. But the problem is during the ancient times, there's a lot of A's and a lot of P's. That's a big one with them. So I had to like kind of space out the P's, space out the A's. But yeah, no, and the most time consuming was the gluing because you have to make sure that the nameplate I put like 90-degree notches on it. Not that you need that in
Mhm.
40K or even Kill Team. It just looks cooler. It gives it
Okay.
more. What's the word I'm looking for? It gives it a notch. Like it gives it more. I don't know what the word I'm looking for is. It gives it more pizzazz. I don't know.
But so you mean just in terms of the look
Yeah,
purely? Because in terms of
in
look,
terms of the look,
pizzazz would be
yeah,
a good word.
it gives it more pizzazz in terms of the look, in my
Okay.
opinion. And then you have to make sure that it doesn't need to be centered with where the head is facing, but close enough.
Okay.
And then it's curved for the base, like he does it 3D printed curved for the base. But
Mm.
you have to make sure like you hold down the middle, but then the sides want to pop out because that's just the
Yeah.
pressure of you hold. So you got to hold in the sides, but then the middle wants to pop out. So you have to kind of like angle it so you have all three, the middle, the sides all together. But
Yeah.
got through all 300. I wanted to take pictures tonight, but I'll probably just wait till tomorrow to take pictures. Um, but yeah, no, they look fantastic. Like I had one of my friends, Luke, over. I was helping him paint.
Mhm.
I don't know if you heard this. I was helping him paint 9 Venoms for a tournament literally the next day. Literally
Okay,
the
so
next
that
day.
he showed up at Maplewood. So today's
Yeah,
Saturday.
they
So
were
he
on.
showed
Yep,
up
yep.
yesterday, at like a random little bit, and I asked him like, "Oh, aren't you supposed to be over at Dan's like painting or whatever?" And he's like, "Yeah, I'm just picking up." He was picking up a particular shade of purple, I believe.
Yeah, and
Um,
the worst shade of
yeah.
green. God, I hated it so much. Moot
Well,
green.
was it the model color?
Yeah,
what he
no.
was
So he
using?
had 7 of them were purple, and 2 of them were this moot green, is what it was called. It was the most neon. You know what it reminded me of? Slimer from Ghostbusters. Like that's what it reminded me of. It was just disgusting green. I hated it.
Okay.
No, but he got here at like 5:30. He left. I
Yeah.
owed some dominoes, and we painted 9 Venoms all the way up to the inking stage in dry brush, and they came out pretty
Oh.
good. I'm not gonna lie, they came out pretty good.
Because he had an event today, right?
Yeah, it was.
Somewhere.
He literally was painting 9 Venoms. Oh, and that one special character that Dark Elder have, the murder chick with the 2 daggers.
Lilith
I don't know the Dark
Husbrex.
Elder. Lilith, yes. Yeah, so while I was doing the No Loyal, he would all of a sudden now doing the Lilith as well. But yeah, no, it was fun. We hung out. I haven't painted any Xenos in God since I was like 14. So it was fun to paint something other than armor. Like I painted
Yeah,
custodians and I painted mechanicum. So and ogres, I guess ogres are not armor, but it was nice to paint something weird. But
that's
yeah,
true.
no,
You can get very unique with the colors, the choices, the vibrancy.
oh god, I hated that green. No, the purple was fine. Purple was great. It was beautiful purple. But that green reminded me of like just literally like the '90s X-Men, what Rogue had on her pants green. It was just oh god.
Nothing wrong with that.
Ugh.
While you talk, so I have a lot of, so I record at my computer, but in front of me I have a lot of paints because I tend to paint here rather than upstairs.
Yeah.
And in front of me I have the yellow green, which is the bright green that Model Color does. It's the brightest one because I used to paint. My bolt action was painted with some of that and some other things, and then a super heavy wash to tone them down to similar to a Russian green, so I could do it in one step.
Okay.
I've used it for a few other things, but oddly enough, I used it most for bolt action, guys.
No, you got to look up Moot Green. It's Moot Green, and it's just I don't.
Is it Model Color?
Yeah, it's a Citadel paint. It's a GW paint. It's just
Okay, it's Citadel. So Model
it's just
Color is one of Vallejo's lines. That's what I thought it was. But
oh
Moot
no
Green
no
is
no
that's no Moot Green is Vallejo.
no Moot Green is GW.
You sure?
Yeah, well, he had the GW little thing.
All
I
right.
think, unless I'm crazy. No, I'm looking at GW right now. There's a Moot Green for GW. Huh,
Okay,
hold
so
on.
they both
Vallejo.
have one then. Okay, because when I was in there, he was actually looking at that particular line.
Oh my god, that's even
Green
worse.
is
All right.
fine. Get out of
Point
here.
is, the point is, they're both
Green's
awful.
fine. It's
The
fine.
point is, it's
It's
an
not a
awful
problem.
color, and I hate it. I hate that like bright '90s colored. Oh god, no. But no, I did the. Oh, and then one more thing. I ordered.
Yeah.
Never am I ordering from Etsy again. It was a $10 lesson in futility,
There's a
where I
lot of good
ordered.
stuff on Etsy.
Yeah, well,
You
yes.
know.
I don't want to blame all the Etsy artists, but
No,
I ordered
absolutely not.
200 millimeter bases for my Telemans. And they looked really good in the previews, and I was like, fuck, what's the worst that can happen?
Right.
And they came in, and oh, my Lord have
Famous last
mercy on my
words.
soul. I just, I, I, I
Were
have seen,
they 3D printed
yeah, they
bases?
were 3D
Okay.
printed in layers, but it's like, and I'm not a 3D printer. I'm not a 3D printer. I don't own a 3D printer, but like, I could have done a better job 3D printing from a STL file than this guy did. It was just such a waste of money. Like I wouldn't even want to give it to someone for free. That's how bad they were.
Oh.
It's yeah, no, they were bad.
So
But but the
does it
good news
look?
is oh yeah, no, it's
Is
like
it
so I don't even think I had pictures just to send it to the
right.
group, but I put it on the Facebook chat. But yeah, no, it was just the layering was awful. The it looked cross-hatched. It looked like it was just here. Here
Okay.
we are. So
Yeah.
this is
Put it in
yeah.
the Discord.
Oh, too late. I already sent it on
Okay.
Facebook.
That's fine.
But
I can look there as well.
the good news is that I this motivated me to look at my PayPal, like from 2 years ago, and cross-reference what the base I bought for the original Telemon was, because that was what I liked. So I compare that with these bases that I just bought. So
Ooh, yeah.
yeah,
I'm looking through them now.
yeah, no, they're bad.
Um, Yeah, by the look
They're
of
also
it,
they're unusable.
it looks to me that the main problem is that whatever printer this person is using, and we're not going to call them out, but whatever printer this
No, I'm not
person
gonna
is
call them.
using, does not. One, it doesn't look like it to me. By the look of it, I don't. Was it resin printed? It doesn't look like it's resin printed to me.
No, it's not.
No, it looks like
Uh,
a
the-
stamp.
yeah,
So I think that's part of the problem because those printers obviously don't get the same level of detail and closeness to all the pieces. So when I look at that, yeah, you can see essentially the cross, like a cross hatching pattern on it, and you want a much smoother surface. So in reality, this kind of thing should be done in resin. There's no
that
reason
was
why
just
it couldn't
bad.
be. Yeah, a lot of like weird little circles and all. Okay, so
But
so
what I
backspace,
did
but
was yeah,
there's a lot of good Etsy people out there. I've gotten some
yeah.
different things, not
But I
not for
did find
40K,
so
but
I did find the bases that actually I did use for my Telemon. Those I will shut out because those bases were amazing. They're dragonforge.com.
mhm.
And it took me forever to find it because I literally did the work and cross-referenced my PayPal with Bank of America with Google Photos to see when I
Yeah.
had the Telemon go from a clear base to an actual base. Um, and it's just no, it was but yeah, no. So that was my week. It's been a good week. Stressful, but it's been a good like work week, a good
Yeah.
model week. I'm happy about
Yeah,
that. What about you? What you've been working on?
yeah, you got a lot done. I did not get nearly as much done. So this week was my wife's birthday. So that automatically kind of, it's a good day and all, but it eats a day. Surprise, surprise.
Of course.
Um, and then she had some different shows during the weekend and all. So hobby wise, I was able to what I got finished. I finished two of my Marvel Crisis Protocol models. So I finished Green Goblin a few days ago, and then I was able to actually paint up and finish Medusa as well. Got a few other bases set and done, and got to get some additional spray coating on them. But otherwise, I got a few more of those models done. So now I have, I don't know, somewhere between 20 and 30 that are painted up, with another half dozen or so getting ready and meant to pick up some other models, but I ended up forgetting about it. Um, Otherwise, I've just been painting up more of my Cruel Boy stuff. I'm still working on the bows. They are mostly done. I'm actually just to the point of finishing up the actual bow components of each of them. So the models themselves essentially come in three parts. They have two sort of Gretchen holding a bag full of bolts. They got
Oh, this is
another
great.
one
That's
that's like
great.
holding the top, who's kind of holding like one of the aiming components. He's underneath that. They have a separate one who's got like a lever mechanism, and then they have the actual Cruel Boy with the giant bow. So all of it's ready except for the bow. So for that, I'm just contrasting it up, do a little bit of highlight, and then they'll be done. So the hope is to have those done this week. Normally would have, and assembled some other models and all. Normally would have got a few more things done, but Wednesday ended up going out, actually gaming, and then yesterday, Friday, out gaming. So, but I might get some time tomorrow to actually get some more stuff done, which would be nice. It's been a light week, but also some school stuff is ending, so that'll help. I'll actually have more free time. But
Sounds good, man. That sounds good.
yeah,
I think you
yeah,
did
it's
some
it's
work.
something. I like painting. I'm fairly good at it, just exceptionally slow about it. Is the
All right,
problem.
all right.
Oh, I
So
did
let's do this.
finish. Yeah, I did
Oh,
finish Hobgrots. I actually think about. Yeah, I did finish the rest
oh,
of the.
Hopgrots are nice.
Yeah, because
I
I
love
wanted
that
them
army.
for
That
a game
army's
that I
so
played.
cool. That army's so stupid cool looking. It
They
is.
are.
It's got so much. I was looking at the models when I saw you playing before, and they just got so much flavor to them.
Yeah, I got a lot of the big boys that I got it painted up. A few of them have to get finished assembling because I'm magnetizing them. If they have a special character, I want to magnetize it so that way I can run them or their special character. But I did finish up my second unit of 10 Hobgrots, so that way when I played them last week, that way I would have a fully painted army for what we were doing at 750/1K is what we were playing. But we'll get into the games in a little bit. So we'll go on to onto that their news. So biggest thing, so just going down the list that we have was for
Yeah.
our GW releases. The only release that I found when I was looking through and releases for this week. So it's Saturday. Essentially, the releases are usually Saturday, though depending on the store,
Yeah.
sometimes you can find it there so early. The only particular release I found was the Warcry box that they came out with.
Yeah, I don't think they released a lot to this.
No,
Yeah, I
no,
was
when I
gonna
was
say this
looking
week
through,
has
they
not been.
don't.
Yeah, no,
Because Warzone is next week.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know a lot of stores have that already.
I know the Black Templar set came out. Oh, I mean, okay. So I know that the Space Marine stuff came out as well for Aeronautica, which God, it does look good. I don't even play Aeronautica, but I would just want
No one
it.
does.
I would want it just to have it because they look so damn cool.
The Thunderhawks, right?
Yeah, but even the Storm Eagles, the Storm Eagles look amazing. And Storm Eagles are actually one of my favorites. So, little side fact: out of the entire Space Marine flyer line, I think Storm Eagles are one of the sexiest looking things in the world. That are Fire Raptors. They legit look like they will pierce the hull of a ship and do shit. But yeah, they have like an advent calendar. Yeah, there's not any releases this week. The pre-orders though.
Yeah, they got a lot of pre-orders. Though I have to say for the Harrow Deep, so that's the Warhammer Underworlds for anyone who doesn't know. The game itself is called Warhammer Underworlds, but essentially every year, or just about every year, they come out with a new set. And when they do a new starter set, they essentially have a new sort of season, is the way they do it. So, the current one is Harrow Deep, but they've had other ones in the past. If you look them up, they have. I want to say this is like maybe the fourth for Warcry. Memory serves, but I could be wrong on that one exactly. Oh, sorry, for Underworlds, not Warcry. My apologies.
We should put out a Forge World that have new releases. For 30K. Everyone had the old joke that 30K is dead. No, they had some releases for Aeronautica, which again are like the ground assets that come from Forge World. Which again, God damn, they should just release Xenos Titanicus at this point, please, or just Epic or anything. Like, look at these models. Look at that Eldari ground asset. That's beautiful. Yeah, look at the price, of course. But I mean, no, they released the Praetor for the Sons of Horus, which I already know I know 3 or 4 of the Sons of Horus players in my 30K group already ordered. They pre-ordered it like last week. And then we have a bunch of people in our group that got the Destroyer Squad. Because people love Destroyer Squad. So for people who don't know, Destroyer Squads they are the they're the Chernobyl scientists. So basically, they're armed with no, that's it. They're only 5.5 radigen. It's okay. They're armed with rad technology, which is essentially banned by everyone, including the Emperor, and they still just kind of use it as a just in case. And essentially, it's basically radiation bullets. And in the game, what it does is it actually permanently during the game reduces your toughness down by 1. If it wounds you. So I mean, if you're 1 wound, it doesn't matter. But if you're multi-wound, it's harsh. But the other fun part is that like they also have rad grenades. So if they charge you, that first turn of combat is your -1 toughness. So all of a sudden, like they charge you, and then an assault squad backs them up. Those assault marines are not hitting your toughness 4; they're hitting your toughness 3. And then, like, let's say they're blood angels, they're wounding you on 2s, which is absolutely disgusting. Absolutely disgusting. So they're really cool. They're really, really awesome. But yeah, no, that's it for new releases. There's really not a lot.
Yeah. I did want to talk a little bit about some of the stuff from the Underworlds release because it relates to my army. So I like to talk about things related to my army.
Underworld. Oh yeah, because yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, if you take a look at it, so I said they do these sets, and essentially you can play the other stuff from Underworlds, but the set comes with, 2 sides, 2 factions, all the stuff you need to play. The big thing is it has cards, so the game's played on essentially a grid. It's more of like a board game really than a miniatures game, but you're getting to select some cards and all of that. I don't really know anyone who actually plays the particular game. Do you?
I will point out. No, I don't. But I will point out that I actually did have the warband. Are they called warbands? I don't even know. Yeah, warbands.
Yes, they're warbands.
I did have. I do have the warband for the ogres, and I do have the warband for the or I did until I sold it for the Beast of Chaos, because those warbands do actually have rules in Age of Sigmar, and they're actually pretty good. Like there's very specific. Like the ogre one that I have, anyone can deep strike in that little band, and they can trap He trap a piece of terrain for D6 mortal wounds if anyone touches it once per game, which is great. But the big thing is it's a deep strike, and he's an ogre, so he counts as 2 models. So he can go in the backfield, and if you have only one thing holding an objective, he just pops in and goes, "Hey, how you doing?" and steals that objective from you. I don't know what the rules are for your guys. Have you looked at the rules for your guys?
I have. So it's
In
very
relation
common.
to Age of Sigmar?
Yeah, what's very common with Warhammer Underworlds is when they come out with these units, war bands or whatever, is that shortly thereafter they put them into Age of Sigmar, and it's essentially a little warband itself. So the one for the orcs is the Cunning Crew, because the names have to be as ridiculous as always. Gives you a total of 5 models, 170 points, which is pretty good. The one model's a leader. The other ones are just kind of there. They don't have a particular listing. The leader he's quite good for what he does. He's got a lot of interesting things, and for pretty cheap points for what else he gives you. Standard, 6 wounds. They're all 5 moves. Their bravery is garbage. It always is for all the orc stuff. Save 4 up, not so great. His weapon, not bad. Very, his sort of standard does, rend -1, D3 damage, which is pretty good. 3s and 3s, 4 attacks. 3-inch range, which is nice, but yeah. I'm
sorry, how much? 3-inch?
Yeah, 3-inch weapon. Because he's got a big old stick. Yeah.
The little stabby stick.
Yeah, essentially. Similar to what you see sometimes with wizards. A lot of orc wizards have that D3 profile. Yeah. He's a little stronger with his attacks, but the D3 profile is pretty normal. For what he gets though, so one of the things, he has cunning tricks. If it's in a Cruel Boys army, so Cruel Boys have something called a dirty trick. Once you've done command points in the game, so you know who's going, you've dished out your command points. Before you start the actual round at that point, you get to pick one of your dirty tricks. Some of their dirty tricks are, one of them makes them -1 to wound in the first battle round. Another one is several of them are roll 3 dice on a 4-up. On one of them, on a 4-up, choose units. Those units, while in terrain, are invisible, so they can't be shot. They can be charged and all, but they can't be shot, and you can't fire magic at them if the magic says it needs line of sight.
Holy shit, that's really good.
It is, although keep in mind that Age of Sigmar is a very light terrain game, and your unit has to actually be in it. So that one
should be playing with forests. You should be playing with forests technically, and woods.
Yeah, for the ones we've done lately, we haven't done that. But
okay,
in the one game when we did that, and I said, "Oh yeah, my guys have this ability. If I choose it, they're like, okay, well let's put some terrain where that becomes important then, because otherwise, this board will do you no good." One of the other ones that I like, that I used the other week was, again, it's roll 3 dice on a 4-up. What happens is you pick a unit. Take their wounds characteristic and you roll a die. If you hit their wounds characteristic or above, pull them off the board. They come down at the end of their first movement phase, in the enemy's movement phase, anywhere inside their deployment zone outside of 9 of your units. But it's the end of deployment, so they can't move again. So you can literally lift, usually low wound style models, but you can lift models off the board, all units and all. I use that to be able to lift off some of the archers from the Sigmarines, Stormcast Eternals, because I didn't want to get shot up first turn, so I just took them right off the board. They came down later instead. So, and they have another one where they can another one of roll 3 dice on a 4-up, pick terrain features. For every terrain feature you pick outside of your opponent's deployment zone, you knot it down to hidden, and on a 2-up it does the D6 mortal wounds and all. So they have these dirty tricks they do. And one of the things that their leader here does, Manok the Cunning does, is after you've done that, on a 5-up, or if he's your leader, add 1 to that. So essentially on a 4-up, you get another dirty trick. So he gives you a chance at getting 2 of these things.
Okay.
That's one of his big things, which is it's quite big. All Cruel Boys, if they're an Auric unit, cause mortal wounds on 6s. There is ways to get it on 5s by using our wizards and all. He naturally does his on 5s instead of 6s, which is nice. And he can shrug off his wounds onto the group of his crew. so they can take wounds
Yes,
from
that's a
them
normal
instead.
thing. Yeah, that's a normal thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's a really good. That actually, I like the fact that the warbounds are very like. I remember with the Beast of Chaos, right? The Beast of Chaos, they had like a normal Bistigor, they had a normal wizard, but the wizard had access to a spell that would target the enemy, and if it hit the enemy, would grant the person doing melee against it or any unit doing melee against it +2 to hit,
Okay.
right? Which is
Yeah.
unheard of, right? Um, and so it's cool that like every warband has their gimmick almost. It's they're not great. I mean, they're not really competitive, but they're flavorful. And honestly, if you're not going to a competition, I'd bring them because they're just so much fun.
I would say with this one though, with him, my biggest problem is for the amount of monsters we have. You know, for just the more, for lack of a better word, survivable. Although this guy can be survivable because he can shrug off wounds into this other unit of four. But for the amount of monsters and big damage dealers we have, I would want one of them to be my general. I don't think I'd want this guy to be my general. Now, 50-50 to
Ah,
get
okay.
an extra trick would be nice, but he's got to be my general. He's only 6 wounds. He's on a 4-up save. He's easily killable. Like I said, he can shrug off wounds to the group potentially, but that means you also then have to make sure they're running together. If you want that group to be doing something, he's got to be right there with them. And if he's 6 wounds, I'm probably trying to hold him back unless we have shooting. Then we got another story. Because the other models are nice. There's nothing wrong with them. The only annoying part is they all have different names. Therefore, they're all particular models, so they all have like different weapons. So you got to look and figure out, okay, well, this one's this guy. Oh, his range is this. His number of attacks. His so on and so forth. Although they do still have the like the sort of snatch and grab rule, which is at the end of a combat phase, pick a model. If you roll double their wounds or more, just take them off the board.
Oh, that's
Yeah, there's several
cool.
other units we have that have that rule.
Oh, that's a cool. Okay.
The one of the Troggoths has that same sort of rule, and one of the big ones, which their name elude me for the second, but some of the big guys have that, but then they do it for heroes instead. But it's a once per game sort of thing that they have instead of can constantly do it. I forget what are those big guys' names. I can't remember their names. Oh,
The fat
the
boys.
the ones on the Sludge Raker beasts. They're not
Oh,
really
okay.
that fat, actually. A lot of the models are not nearly as big as you think they would be.
They
Um,
look fat though, which is fun.
they're they're not as big. They're much more thin, actually, than you would think.
Interesting.
Yeah. What I found, like the one that we have on all fours with Hobgrots on its back is actually the Marsh Crawler. The Marsh Crawler is actually really small. It's a
Oh,
tiny model for what you would think it is. And
it's
then
not bad though. Right?
no, it's not bad. And the Stormcast Eternals have their side. I don't know much of their things. I know they're less models in theirs, but I'm sure they have a lot of good to them as well.
It
I
probably
looked
fits
through them,
in
but I just
with.
don't know it that well.
I was gonna say it probably fits in with their what they do.
Oh, absolutely, it does.
Yeah.
And again, it's every model has like a different weapon. So you have some that are really good at, one of them has the same sort of as some of the other guys do with the shooting. If you get a 6, cause mortals instead. So, but they have so many things in their book, just so many things. It
Okay.
it's
I
it,
mean,
it
to be
is rough
fair
how
though,
much stuff is in that book.
yeah. But I mean, the good news is there's a crap ton of pre-orders coming out too as well.
There is.
And I mean, so I'll start with Forge World since I have that one open. So
Yes.
Forge
Yeah, let's
World
go to pre-order.
has these stupid Blood Bowl characters coming out. And okay, as much as no one plays Blood Bowl, God, these characters have so
No.
much. Do people
I,
play
I
Blood Bowl?
I wouldn't say no one plays Blood Bowl. I think there's a lot of people who do, but I think those people have
Yeah.
had Blood Bowl for 20 years, and there's no
Oh,
chance.
and don't buy new.
I would say very little chance
Okay,
to
that
get
makes
new
sense.
models.
Because I'm looking at these models and damn, they're funny as hell. They look good, right? I would run them in a normal army. Like William Cheney or Wilhelm Cheney is hilarious. And then you have Creek the Verminator Rust Gouger. That's just great. But since I don't play Blood Bowl,
Names
I
are
mean, they're
always
cool
good.
models. I'm going to skip to that and look at this boy, the Acastus, the Asterius Acastus Knight for Titanicus, which, oh, God, that model looks so good. So I was
I
able to,
like him.
yeah.
No, go ahead. I'll
Uh,
tell you what I hate,
yeah,
and
because I was going to say,
you're going to hate the same thing. You better hate the
well,
same
yeah, it's more of no, because it's I've seen the 28 millimeter version, right, of this.
Yeah.
And it's chunky. It's a chunky, like the guns are like I could put them in a sock and kill someone kind of nonsense. And they kind of replicated that in the miniature model, which I find hilarious. I love the little tiny Volkite guns that it's got on it. Wait a minute, hold on. Wait a minute, hold on. I just want to check
What?
something before I keep talking. I'm sorry, hold on. Is it one
What?
model or two?
Oh, so now you figured it out. We were discussing this the other day. So
Wait.
you look at it, all of Castus Knight so far, every box that they've done for the game for Adeptus Titanicus has been for the knights like two models now. Like when it was the
Yeah.
real Questoris, that's a different story. But for all the other knights, there are two models in there. When they did both the Acastus, when they've done all the other ones.
Even the Cerastus Knights are two.
Yep. Cerastus were two as well. And when they came out with the other versions, because the Cerastus, there's three different versions.
Yeah,
When they
yeah.
did the other versions, it was two. If you scroll down,
Okay.
this 32 piece resin kit builds one Acastus Knight Asterius. He's only one model.
Or $60.
$62, yes. Yep. He's entirely resin, which there's no reason for that. They should have just taken the base model that they had and gave you some arm swaps. That's exactly what they did for the Cerastus. That's exactly what they did for the Questoris.
Why would they? What at 62? What? Why?
Yep. Yep. And that's the part
Why
I hate
is
about it. And that's why I
this?
will not ever get one.
Yeah, that's
Can
it.
you
And that answers my question. Yeah, I'm not gonna
we,
get one.
we were talking about this yesterday and we couldn't remember. Can you run them solo?
Yes, you can. You can run them solo.
Okay.
You
I
absolutely can run
wasn't
them
sure if you
solo.
could or not. All right.
Yeah, but you don't really want to because running one solo, you lose one. You usually run them in pairs. Is basically what it is. But
Yeah.
but again, why why is it $62? Like
Because he's resin from Forge World. That's why it's
Dave,
$62.
like okay, but for $62, I could just get two Atropos Knights.
For the cost of two of those, I can get into the game. I can either get
Yeah, wait, what's the
what
starter set? The starter set is like what, 100,
100 something.
100? Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
ridiculous. I'm
around that
sorry.
price, similar enough to it. Well, because
That's
what are they points wise? Like 100
200. They're about Warhound points. They went up in
for
points. The
for
FAQs, yeah,
each
no.
one
So they're roughly 200. And I think that one's 210 or 220. I think that this one is actually 220 or 210.
for one Acastus Knight.
Yes,
Okay,
they're
so I mean, at least
they
they're points wise quite a bit then at least.
they're about as much as a Warhound is essentially what it is.
Okay. Still, no, that's the part that's ridiculous. We were
No,
talking about
I'm
this
sorry.
yesterday.
Yeah.
We looked at it, it's like, oh, those look really cool. Nope, way too much money.
I don't understand the pricing on it. I'm sorry, I just don't. Because
He's resin.
by the way, the two nights are $50
Yep.
from Forest World. Two nights are 50, and then the Atropos, which is taller, are more expensive. So, but still, it's just no. Sorry, that makes zero sense to me. Okay, so yeah,
Forge World. So GW is a premium already. Forge World's a bigger premium, and when they make it out of resin, they treat it like it. I'm when they do a character. Not that I say it's okay for the price they charge for some of these characters in the game, but I understand it to an extent because their idea is how many characters are we going to sell in your army? You're only going to want one of this named guy. So,
but here's the thing:
our limited market. This guy much less limited because you would want more than one.
But here's the thing. Like, okay, so how much is a character in GW? Just Games Workshop, $35,
35.
right?
Yeah, 35
So
reasonably standard.
The Forge World, fully resin, Sons of Horus Legion Praetor is
Yeah.
38. So $3 more, right?
Yeah. Essentially the same price.
But look at the amount of detail you get in that, right? Now, I'm not saying that the Cassis Knight it doesn't have detail either. It looks like it has a ton of detail.
You got
But
the dollar detail.
for half the price, I get an HQ with the same amount of detail, and it's bigger than the Perfian,
Yep.
or as the same size, and it comes with a little resin base too. Like, no, I'm sorry, I'm just no. I'm sorry.
If they want to be supporting Titanicus, they need. I know they're working on some of the iron, with the iconoclast ones and all of that. Like they're coming out with some of the big boys, and that's great. But little models like this for that price get people out of the game. They tell people that, you know what, I already have stuff. I'm not going to get anything new. And let's face it, people aren't buying new. It doesn't help.
Or it just forces people to buy the starter sets, because the starter set is a great deal. Do they still have that stupid thing on?
One of them they do. They don't have the giant one they used to. That one they stopped making. But the smaller one, yes. No, they still do the smaller one.
See here. Is it under gaming accessories? No, it's not under gaming accessories. I guess it'd be under Titans. That's where the hell would they be? I know, but here's the weird part. It breaks it up into all knights rules. I guess it'd probably be under rules. I bet you anything.
It would be the start here. So one of them, the Grandmaster, is what they'd stop selling. They stopped selling the
but they have but here's the thing. They have the Horus Heresy one, which comes with 2 Reavers, 2 Warhounds, 2 Sarasis, all the dice, terrain, scatter die, the updated rulebook, and no. I'm sorry, like for basically 2 of the Perfian Knights, I get 2 Reavers, 2 Warhounds, 2. No, I'm sorry. That just makes no sense. That makes no sense.
I can't. No, let's face it, they're probably still going to sell out.
But there's no argument. No, there's no argument there. No. However, on that flip side, Dave, them releases from that pre-order from GW. You want to talk about that?
Which one?
All which one do you like to look? Oh my God! Again with Stormcat. Well, you could talk about the Hobglot split. I can't speak. The Hobglot splitters.
We'll get to the Hobglot splitters are garbage. And if you bought Dominion, you got 20 of them. And if you did like me and you got 2 Dominion halves because they were cheap, then you got 40, and you'll never paint them. Paint like 20, and throw the rest in the garbage. Or actually, what I did. They have several big issues with them. One, they're 80 points for 10. So a good price. They are not an awful screening unit. I mean, their save is garbage. Their morale is non-existent. But
they're chaff.
Yeah, but orcs have some rules to be able to avoid losing tons of models. Their profile, melee style profile, not the worst thing. When you think of something that for that price, the biggest thing is they do not count as Aurochs, because they're just little gribbly guys. And since they do not count as Aurochs, they don't get any of the useful things they don't get poison weapons. So they're melee, 2 attacks, not bad. 4s and 5s, okay, you're an 80 point unit, I don't expect very much. No rend, 1 damage. If they roll a 6 to hit, they get to roll for 2 hits, but you're not poisoned. So if you think of, say, the spiders from Gloomspire gets, those spiders are about the same. They do almost the same amount of everything, but they do mortals on 6s. You're just hunting mortals. They do have a missile weapon, 8 inches, force to hit, 3s to wound, -1 rend, 1 damage, which is actually very good. When it's all said and done, that's actually really nice. However, you got to get into a good point to be able to use that. It's going to be really rough. And they're not battle line. If they were battle line, sure. Nice, cheap battle line unit. They are someone that gets in the way, but they're not going to get in the way for long. I'm not a big fan. I could see taking one unit. If you got the points, you can put them in front of your Manskewer Bolt Boys or something like that. That's not a bad strategy. Just to be able to slow the enemy down. Because I had some experience with that yesterday that showed me I probably wanted a screening unit or to hold back a little bit.
Yeah.
But other than that,
or to hold objectives.
Or hold an objective. But if anyone tries to go and take it from them, they'll just eat their lunch money. What I did do is my second set of them, because Gut Rippas from Dominion did not have banner bearers and did not have musicians. But in the War Scrolls, they do. So I took the banners and the musician weapons and all from my extra Hobgrots, ripped them apart, and I'm putting them on my my gut rippers. So that way they actually have all the things that you can have.
Exactly. I mean,
So
you
no,
also get the
they're
Manskewer
garbage.
boys. What about the Manskewer boys? Because they look pretty cool.
The
Those are the
Manskewer
ones I loved
boys,
looking at.
yeah, the models are great. The actual unit itself, there's a back and forth. Some people are, hey, if you take the big yellers, they're battle line. So there's talk of, okay, I'm gonna throw multiple units in, say in 2K where you get what is it, 3, 4 reinforcements? I want to say 3 that you make big reinforced units. Right? They start in units of 3, so at least in terms of sixes, you know, they can do a lot. Their base damage, you know, if they don't move, they hit on 2s, wound on 3s. If they do move, they hit on 4s, wound on 3s. But then they get 2 shots, half range, but 2 shots. In Big Yellers, you get plus 3 inches. You get a little bit of a reroll as well. And all you're really hunting is 6s. Or if you use the Swamp Crawler Shaman, you're hunting 5s and 6s. And then I'm just doing 2 mortal wounds automatically to you. And even if not, at least they rend 1. So I think they're very, very good. They're not $15 a model good, though, because that's 3 models in that box. It's a $45 box with 3 models.
Mm.
That's my big problem with it. It is
Well, hold on.
far
To
too
be
expensive.
fair, I play Custodes, so 3 Alaris are 50 for me.
Okay, but how many points are they?
Many.
Yeah, these 3 guys are 120 put together.
Okay, I know. That's nothing compared to 2000. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
It
I mean,
honestly,
so
go ahead.
yeah. No, go ahead.
I do want more. I might buy a box just to have some difference, and I might make each of those guys sort of like a leader style model or something. For any more that I want though, because I probably do honestly want a little bit more, but I also need another unit gut rippers and all. I'm probably just gonna buy another person's half a
Yeah, half
dominion.
box. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
that's what I
and
did with the
I'll sell
ogres.
the heroes or something if I want.
That's what I did with the ogres. I bought 4 half boxes of the Feast of Bones, and that was
Yeah,
literally it. I just built out from there. And they're cheap.
yeah.
I
I'm
mean,
considering buying a full box though, because that way I can get the rule book, and I might want to paint up some of the Stormcast. Not in the gold though. I don't like that.
no one. I hated the gold. And remember, I didn't pay my custodians in gold for that reason.
No.
But speaking of this, good segue because speaking of the Sigmars, oh my god. Okay, so first of all,
Gotta talk about Bastion. Gotta talk about
Bastion.
him.
What? Wait, hold on.
Yeah,
Where's
Lord Commander Bastion.
Oh, that's his name.
Targalos.
Yes, Lord Code.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's his name.
Lord have mercy. So the pose is so simplistic, right? It's him walking forward, but the robe blowing in the wind, the tabard, the scrolls blowing in the same direction, that
Yep.
hammer, the fire, even the fire, the smoke fire blowing in that direction. It's such a good model.
Do you know what he does? Have you looked him
No.
up at all? Okay.
All right, now I got
So
action.
I will tell you what he does.
Yeah, tell me.
First of all, he's 300 points.
Whoa,
He's an
my
expensive
Jesus
boy.
Christ.
300 points. Oh, wait for
Go
it.
trick.
Yep. 6 move, 3 up save, 10 bravery, so he's very brave. He has 8 wounds. So
All right.
a bit above the standard 6 for a guy on foot. So his weapon, Uskavar. That's how I'm pronouncing it. I could be horribly wrong on the pronunciation. It's 2-inch range, 4 attacks. He's 3s to hit, 2s to wound, -2 rend, 4 damage.
Okay, that's
Yeah, most things in the game, if you're a big hitter, are like 3 damage,
3,
unless
like
you're
my
like
ogres.
even if you're a troll, 3 damage. So this guy's 4 damage, so he can put out a whole bunch. So he has a Thunderborn ability. Once per turn in your hero phase, you can pick 1 enemy unit on the battlefield and roll a number of dice equal to the wounds characteristic of that unit. For each 6, they suffer a mortal wound. So he can cause some mortals. Yeah, and it's once per turn in the hero phase.
Here's the fun part. It's actually for the whole wounds of the unit. That actually did so.
Yes.
Like, let's say you have like me, an ogre unit of 6 ogres. That's still 24 dice. You know what I mean?
Equal to the wounds characteristic of that unit. So how many wounds is a single ogre?
That's the same. 4.
No, 4. So you roll 4 dice. It's the wound characteristic of the unit, not per model. But that's anywhere on the battlefield. He doesn't have to be near them. So he rolls 4 dice.
So
Maybe he calls some
monster.
mortals.
So a
Yeah.
monster, it'd be more of a monster hitter. Okay.
Yeah, if you've got a lot of wounds, it's very useful. Like it's bad against small
Yeah.
units, but it's very good against monsters. He's
Start the battle.
Castellan of Azir. So
Yeah.
at the
Start the
start of the
battle.
first battle round,
Yeah.
after determining who has the first turn, but before you actually begin, you can pick up to D3 friendly Hammers of Sigmar units. So Hammers of
Oh
Sigmar
my
are one of
god.
the factions,
So yeah,
and you set them up again. So you can move
that's
some of them around.
really good. That's
Yep.
really. So this is more of a tactics discussion, which this could go.
Mhm.
This goes into 40K too as well, by the way, and
Yep.
30K. But
Mhm.
redeploy after like before the first battle round, right?
Yeah.
So this is done before the first battle round is played, but after you roll to see who goes first.
Yeah. You
Um,
know who's actually
who's going
going
exact?
to.
This
Yeah.
is major, and that's really good in 40K. That's really good in
Mhm.
30K, and it's really good in Sigmar. And to do that with D3 units, that's a freaking spread out your units or put them all to one side, right? So
Mhm.
that your opponent places all their monsters to that side, and then redeploy D3 to the other side. That's massive.
Yeah. He has Vessel of the Tempest, so he has a 4-up ward. So he's 8 wounds, 4-up ward, 3-up save.
And
So
which
he's
becomes
the
a trump
shrugging
because you
off.
always give.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's shrugging off at least half of what you're throwing at him, unless you can ignore wards. There are a few things that do. Cruel Boys have one thing that can ignore ward, a spell.
Ooh, okay.
He has Voice of Thunder. Once per turn, he can issue a command to a Hammers of Sigmar unit anywhere on the battlefield without a command point. So you don't have to be near him. He just issues commands. Very nice.
Okay.
Here's why he's 300 points. His Mantle of
Fear
the
the
First Storm. At the end of the phase, if any enemy models were slain by wounds caused by this unit's attacks in that phase, heal all wounds allocated to this unit.
uh,
Yep. You one shot him, or he heals himself fully.
Oh my god. Sorry, I'm dying. That probably doesn't come across great in the podcast. What the hell?
Yeah. And that's why
He
he's
pops a
$5
Noblar.
more.
He pops a Noblar in the face. And he's like, well,
Yep.
I'm
And he's good.
healthy again.
I envision that he just eats whatever it is and he's powered by food. I assume he just like
The
grabs the
ogre?
Noblar, ingests it, and he's back to full again.
Okay, I was gonna say, like, where is this 300? There it is. That's why it's 300 points.
Yeah. So
Oh my god.
here's a guy who's a 3-up, 4-up, and let's say he got some rend. He might average rend is probably none to 1. So he might be a 4-up, 4-up. So he's shrugging off 75% of the wounds you hit at him. He's got 8 wounds. So realistically, if you want to kill him, you got to be throwing like 30 some wounds at him. That, again, depending on your rend and all.
Yeah.
But if you don't kill him, he rolls well, you roll a little bit under, anything like that happens, and he happens to kill any single model
No, is
in
it
that phase,
immediately?
fully
Let
healed.
me read that.
At the end of the phase, he heals up.
Yeah. The end
It's
of the
not
phase. Okay,
immediate, it's
okay,
end of the
okay.
phase.
So
But
you
it's
could
the
still have a
end of a
chance to.
phase. So
Oh.
remember, he does call down lightning. So if he was
Oh my
partially wounded and
god.
he happens to kill a model,
In
now,
the
yep,
yeah, in the shooting phase, oh my. So you could put him down to 1 wound in the shooting phase. And let's say like he's not chargeable. So next turn I have him on 1 wound,
okay,
right?
I think his thunder is in the hero, so it'd be hero phase for his thunder.
Yeah.
So it
That's
wouldn't be from shooting. Yeah, but if it's in the other phase, if he runs into someone and kills that unit, or like I said,
that just
in
it's
his
yeah.
hero phase, you hurt him a whole bunch. He happened, say you ran a monster at him, he ended up not killing the monster. He took a bunch of wounds, but then he throws a die and happens to lucky 6 on one of your units, takes out last wound on a guy, fully healed.
Yep. That's yeah. That's a
So
great model.
that's why he's $5 more, I think, than they are standard.
No, he's actually so I've actually someone was posting pictures. He's also a tall model. This is actually a
Yeah.
big
Oh, I'm
boy
sure he's
model.
very big.
Yeah, no,
He's got a big old halo. But
now the other releases though are really cool. So the Vigilers are they're okay. They got bows, they're cool. What really makes me happy are these Vanquishers. I love the Sisters of Battle, or sorry, Sisters of Silence that I own. And these guys
yeah.
remind me a lot of the Sisters of Silence with those big broadswords and the um Yeah, no. So that's just that. Yeah. So they look really cool. I'll give them that. The Knight Relictor. I mean, he looks pretty cool. The Annihilators look. Wait, weren't there two-handed Annihilators or two hammer Annihilators that are coming out? Let me scroll down real quick.
So
Or do they?
Annihilators. No, I think you're thinking of a different unit. Oh yeah, there's the Annihilators further down. Yeah, that you can take them either way. With the shield, they get
Okay.
+1 to their saves, so they're like 2-up saves. Yeah, that is the general rule in at least in Stormcast Eternals. Is your save is a 3-up, but if you have a shield, it adds 1 to your save characteristic.
Yeah.
So it puts you to 2-up saves.
And those Praetors look delicious too. I mean, look at that. Look at the axes and the
Well,
just.
this fills out the rest of the Dominion box for singles. Now, everything other than heroes, all the base units, you can now get them individually.
Oh, okay.
The heroes,
I
they usually wait about a year for the heroes.
see no Flying Angel yet, which that was a cool model.
No, that's going to be like next year before you can get her
Oh,
solo.
there's the Annihilators. Yeah, Annihilators with Meteoric Grand Hammers. Like, look at those guys. Oh my god, just beef.
They
Just
are
beefy
good, but
boys.
I'd probably still take them with the shield just for the better save. In my mind, if you're playing Stormcast, part of the reason you're playing them is because you want to try and live. I mean, don't get me wrong, they do a whole lot of good stuff, anyway, with the shields, but they have 2-up save. 2-up save,
Yeah,
3
2-up
wounds.
save. And I believe when they charge, they do the ogre charge essentially.
Yes, they do.
Yeah.
Well, I don't. So the way their charge works is depending on. Yeah, I think the same way as the ogre charge. How many that you roll as many dice as
Yep. And on a
you
4-up,
roll
it
the
does well.
distance.
Yep.
So theirs is a 4-up, but if they're down to 2 models, it's a 5-up. If they're down to 1 model, it's a 6-up. So they have to be 3 or more models for it to be a
So
4-up. It gets
it's
lesser
better
as
than
they lose
it's
models.
better than ogres because for us we have to hit eight models in order to get the 4-up mortal wound.
Yeah.
So we have to be 8 models or more.
And you know what? So when I look at that Meteoric Great Hammer, when I compare the stats of these guys, either way, they're 3 attacks. 3 to hit. If they got the hammer, it's 2s to wound. The hammer's a -2 rend instead of the -1. And the hammer's 3 damage instead of the Meteoric, the little hammer, of being 2 damage. So yeah, they hit a reasonable amount harder. They really do. They still have that blazing impact. They still have that force of the falling star, all of that. But I think with the fact there's rend out there, I would want them to be living. They're going to be in the enemy's backfield because you're going to drop them in somewhere in the back in a nice position. I want them to have 2-up saves.
Yeah. All right.
Otherwise, they're going to hit one unit. They might do a whole lot, but someone else is going to come back with them with some reasonable rend and might carve through them.
All right.
Not easily, but
Pretty good pre-orders though. Pretty good pre-orders.
yeah, they got a lot of stuff. There's a lot of things coming out. Stormcasts are filling out nicely, and at this point, like I said, everything in those boxes you can get, which is nice.
I was discussing with the 30K group. GW has a really good job at like doing Age of Sigmar, varied Age of Sigmar,
Yes.
which is really really good.
Yeah.
40K tends to be more Space Marine oriented, but the variance in Age of Sigmar is great.
Agreed.
They did a really damn good job.
They got a whole lot of nothing on the 40K pre-order side. Well, the war what is it, the Warzone Octarius book. I don't remember if that was technically this week or last week, but there's that book. So if you happen to have an army talked about in there, hey, there's a $50 update to give you some new stuff, which is essentially what that book is, which is not bad. For other sort of news around Marvel Crisis Protocol, they've been updating cards and all. I'll put out a separate announcement because we're probably gonna have a little bit of some separate episodes that discuss that a little bit more detail. But that'll be announced once we have that. I'll make a separate announcement. Next big thing I had, and Asmodee's been reasonably quiet. Otherwise, there's been a lot of shipping issues and all because their production is primarily in China.
Yeah, I was gonna say there's been shipping issues everywhere.
Yeah, some places have a little bit easier, but at least in North America, it's been rough. But the next thing I had was the Stormcast Eternals and the Aura War Clans got their FAQ. It usually takes a few. It's usually the turnaround's usually about 2 weeks.
Yeah,
so they're right in line.
Stormcast Stormcast I'm laughing at because thank God for so one of their things that they had and they can do was that they can teleport then move, which
Yes.
is absolutely unheard of in Age of Sigmar. No other army does that. In fact, there was, I think, a death army that did it, but they nerfed it very quickly that
Yes,
you
it
couldn't
did.
move after a teleport. And it's been kind of common knowledge that you cannot move after a teleport. It's wholly unfair, and you're already getting up the board, away from 9 inches. So then the Sigmar, the Stormcast come out with this
Yeah.
rule that says they can teleport, and then it worded it as if they can move. And so people are
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God, they changed it!" And everyone's like, "No, don't play it like this. Just wait,
You know
wait
they're
two
going to change it
weeks.
back.
You're gonna change it back. No, they're gonna keep it like this." GW had a change of heart, and lo and behold, they got changed. There is no
Yeah.
more moving after a teleport, and good. They're not like good. That's so
Yeah,
broken.
it should. Yeah, they shouldn't have allowed it. I mean, you can already teleport usually within 9 inches is the standard. You are still in a chargeable range. If you can move afterwards, you are essentially guaranteeing a charge unless you roll like double ones or you happen to have a very move stat, very
Yeah,
bad move
it
stat.
was just yeah, no. So that was great. Anything changed for the orc FAQ or no?
One other big thing happened. The Stormcast Eternals had a few things. Just to mention some of their
That
stuff.
was the oh yeah, sorry, that was just the biggest one for me. That made
No,
me
that's the biggest one. At the end of the day, that is the biggest one. That is the one that
yeah.
people are crying about to some extent. One of the other big things is one of their command traits has changed. It
Uh,
used to essentially be if you were a monster, you could have -1 for wound rolls for anything that would count as a monster. They've changed it now to essentially be behemoths because it was coming
okay,
in that essentially you could play certain armies that were monster stats and everything was -1 to wound you. So
okay.
they changed that. They did a few other changes. Those are probably only the big things. Everything else is changes that are in line with what you think. For the orcs, a very obvious change. The Marshcrawler Slogoth was given the keyword cruel boys. He wasn't listed as a cruel boy. There was
Oh, that
people
that
complaining of then you can't do all this different stuff with him. He's obviously a cruel boy. So they gave him the rule. The other thing that they did, all the rest of it, I mean, they changed Gorguntra's jagged Gorhakas, so they made them a little bit more appealing. So now the weapon actually looks a little bit nicer. There's a reason to take this because Gorguntas all have to be armed the same way. There's two different weapon choices, so now there's a reason you might want to take this one. The only other thing that they put in here for the orcs is so Ironjaws have different abilities depending on which one, but they all essentially have some sort of rule: ear splitting bellow, skull shaking bellow. But what the rule really says is when this model issues a command, when it just issues a command, it can issue it additional times. The intention, what pretty much everyone believed the intention was, so for the ear splitting one, it says, oh, when you issue it, you can issue it to 2 times in the same phase. And some people were saying like, okay, well, hey, if I'm going to do, say, all out attack, then I've issued it once. Can I all out attack with the other one? Oh, yeah, that makes sense. If I'm getting hit, say, potentially from 2 different sources, can I do all out defense? And the intention was always yes. When you declare this, you are essentially declaring it, and then you can declare it again, and you can essentially put it on multiple units at the same time. What some people are arguing was essentially saying, well, hey, with the way it was worded, and it was worded poorly, and it kind of was worded this way, was if you say declare all out defense, well, a unit has to be being attacked actively to get it. Well, hey, they're not currently being actively attacked. Oh, so it just kind of removes itself. Can't do it. And what they said is like, no, when you do this, you can just do it later in the same phase. You can declare it once and then the other one right after, and they have it as well. There's no weird case of you declared it and it doesn't work because of a timing issue. And they updated the rules. So the main core rulebook had some updates as well. And those updates are exactly in line with this. So like one of it says, if an ability allows me to use the same command trait more than once in the same phase, can I issue the redeploy command to multiple units eligible immediately after one enemy unit has moved? Yes. So that's what some people were arguing about is that, well, hey, you moved close enough to these two units. Well, the way your rule is worded, I can only move one. Like, no, you can move both. The intention is that, yeah, you can do both because you're allowed to actually do the rule twice. Same as if an ability allows me to use the same command more than once, and it's the unleash hell on multiple units. Can I do it immediately after one enemy has charged? Yes.
Okay.
You're allowed to unleash
Yeah.
hell with both of them.
Yeah.
You know, and the other, again, it makes sense. But if you get a pile-in move, that doesn't automatically mean that you get the swing, because the Iron Jaws have abilities that they can actually get pile-in moves in their hero phase if they're in combat, but they don't get the swing just because they piled in. Piling in doesn't mean you get the swing. You actually have to be given an attack step to do that. That's what they did for Sigmar. The other
All right,
armors
that's
will
not
get those
bad.
at some point. Yeah,
And
all
Kill
of it
Team.
makes sense. Yeah.
Kill Team got an FAQ as well.
Okay.
So the big thing with Kill Team were that Custodies were essentially invincible. I think their win percentage is 87%.
How many wounds were they?
They 18, which is funny enough. That's not the problem with them, because 18 wounds normal people are 6 wounds, right? So
Okay.
Space Marines were around, I think, 11 or 12, which makes sense because there were 2 wounds, and Custodians were
Okay.
18, which is 3 wounds, right? So it's
Okay.
very, very normal. The problem was twofold. One, Custodians had 4 action points, which is
So what's the
in,
standard? Is it one is the standard?
no, 2 is the standard.
Two? Okay.
Space Marines get 3, and
Okay.
I think so Custodians got 4, and action points are what let you move, shoot, so on and so forth. So getting 4 action points allowed you to basically dominate the board. And the thing about Custodians was you take 2, you choose between 2 kill teams. So you chose AA, AB, or BB. A was 2 Custodians, B was 5
Okay.
Sisters of Silence. So you can choose AA. You can have 4 Custodians on the battlefield, or you can have 10 Sisters of Silence, or 5 and 2.
Okay.
And if you took 4 Custodians, you had you had 16 action points, whereas most
That's a lot
people
of
only
action.
had 10, which is
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
no, it is broken. But that's not the only thing that made them broken, because they're very durable as well. Of course, funny enough, they don't have a native invulnerable save like they do in
Okay.
40k.
Is that
But
common in Kill Team that are
yeah,
vulnerable
invulnerable
saves?
saves are
Do they occur? Or are they very
very
tough to
rare.
get?
Very tough to get.
Okay.
Although, fun fact, you can take a normal shield custodian with an invulnerable save, so that defeats that thing.
So you can get,
No,
but only one?
no, 2. You could technically have 4 if you wanted to. You could take 2 in a section and then 2 in the other section.
Okay, so they're
Because
not limited to like one of them doing it. You can actually
no,
do
no, you
both
can.
in your A group.
Yeah, you have 2 variants for the custodians. You have spear
Okay.
or sword and shield.
Got it.
And then the other thing that broke, and this was probably even worse than the 4 action points. It depended on who you asked, but so essentially, Space Marines had this stratagem that if you paid it, you can do one more action, and it could be a move or a shoot or a close combat, right?
Ooh, okay.
No, it's a pretty great stratagem, and it was, I think,
Sounds
3
amazing.
CP. Yeah,
All right,
Custodies
what's the
had a
standard CP in the game? If we were starting out, like how many do I have? Because 3
I
sounds like a
don't
lot.
remember. 3 is a lot. You have to build it up over like 2 turns. You get 1 CP per
Okay.
turn. Yeah, you would have to build it up. You have to bank it essentially.
Okay.
Um, Custodes for 1 CP. So there's already one issue. Are you ready for this? Move, shoot, close combat, and
Okay.
not a war, and so they can
Ooh.
move and shoot and close combat.
So normally you get 1 CP around, I assume, right? Unless you have some
Yeah, pretty
crazy
much,
tools
yeah,
and all. You get 1
yeah.
CP around. So one of my Custodes could spend 1 CP, and essentially he gets 3 actions.
Yep, he gets another. He gets another action point.
And then
Essentially,
he does all of. Then he
his
can
other.
just do his normal 4.
Yep.
So, oh man.
Yeah. So they were exceptionally broken. And there are a lot more. So what they did basically was they turned Custodies down to three action points. So basically, a veteran Space Marine. Because Space Marines, I think, only get 2. I think they either get 3 or 2. But basically, a veteran, they become 3. And they made the CP. They changed the stratagem to be or, and also
Okay,
3
good.
CP, and also 3 CP. Custodians are still kind of powerful. I think what they should have done, aside from my limited knowledge of playing Kill Team, from a fluff reason and also because for a balance reason, I don't think people should take 4 Custodies. Because that's 18 wounds, or sorry, that's not 18 wounds. I'm sorry, that's 36 wounds of a 2-up armor. And you would take spears anyway. You don't always take shields all the time. But they're 3 action points. It's just a lot to kill. Because if you think about it, Space Marine kill teams, you only get 3 to 5 models. Right? So 3 Space Marines versus 2 Custodies, you're not going to win.
No.
What they should have done for Custodies, and I know people give me flack for this because they'll be like, oh my god, I have to buy more models. I think they should have just limited to you can choose either 2 sets of 5 sisters or a set of 2 Custodies and 5 sisters.
GW would love that idea. They'd love to sell more sister models.
Yeah, Sister Science, yeah. And it's not that the Sister Science models are bad, but they're so much more normal that it brings down the list. It plays down the list. They're not like shit. They're not bad models. They're not bad rules. They're actually really good, actually. Mostly for the fact that they just look at... Yeah.
It doesn't sound like it was play tested.
No, it wasn't at all. Oh, I can tell you that right now. It was absolutely not play tested whatsoever.
I don't
but
play
people
Kill
are still
Team.
doing tournaments. People are still doing tournaments with it.
I don't play Kill Team. I've read through a little bit. I know the basics. I think they messed up the shapes so bad that will stop me alone being a mathematician. The fact that the circle is not the 1 inch or the triangle isn't the 3 inch would drive me insane. So that alone is an issue. But when you say the rest of it, it makes sense. Okay, you got this many ones, and they sound so far above and beyond. He sounded way too much without even trying and playing him in the game. I can tell that there's going to be a problem. Yet they didn't catch any of it. I don't know. That's rough. That's a little much.
Yeah, it's just but no, it brings it more to a sense of balance, which is not bad. But yeah, that was it for Kill. That's it, kind of for the updates.
Yeah. So that gives us our updates. So we'll take a short break. We'll come back and then we'll talk a little bit about some games we've actually done lately. Yep. And we're back. So at this point, we wanted to, rather than go into any different topic, we thought we would talk a little bit about the actual games that we played lately. Not going to go into it here, I don't think, but I did start doing some more demos and stuff like that at Red Seal Gaming related to Marvel Crisis Protocol. We're trying to build a community there. But that's going to be on a separate episode. I'm actually going to have some of those people who did the demos come and talk about it and discuss that game. I think what we'll get to is some of the Age of Sigmar I've been playing lately. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did I talk about the 750 game I attempted to play against some trolls?
No, let's hear it. It was 750?
Yes. So
okay.
At
1,000.
Maple. No, 750. So at Maple at Hobby, we have 2 different Friday night fight nights. The first Friday of every month is the 40K Friday night fights, 750 points. They might be lowering it down to 500. The previous one was one of the previous ones was 750, but their hour rounds is the idea. 40K, they were having some trouble of completing games in that time, so it very well might go down to 500. I think at one point the intention was Kill Team, but I don't think that's what they're doing. But the third Friday of every month is Age of Sigmar Friday night fights. Again, 750, normal rule building, list building, all that kind of stuff. We're gonna do it this week, or this was the other week. It was gonna happen, but in general, a lot of us, there wasn't that many people there that night, and just being a little bit of a light night, and a lot of us were kind of we wanted to play, but we didn't want to necessarily run through a tournament structure. We didn't want to feel pressured. I'm now only 2 games into my army, so to tell me, yeah, it's a low points cost or low amount of points, but I still have to like play fast. I have to be very determined with what I'm doing. I have to be very definitive. If I'm learning the army, I want to be not just even more casual, but I want to be able to sit and think about it and sit and have that discussion. So we ended up not doing the Friday night fight form, but several different people were playing AOS that night. In particular, I faced off against John's Gloomspire Kits. And the other thing to mention for this is, obviously you can take what you want. Some people build more fluffy, some people build very crazy stuff. Sort of just depends on what you have. But at 750, things can get very rough one way or the other. So it just kind of depends what they had. So he had trying to remember exactly all things he had. I want to say it was 3 units of the Rockgut Trogoths or Trogoths. And
Yes.
he had
Okay.
a tank hold Trogoth. That was his leader. He's a big old 10 wound guy. I that might have been it. That might have been it because that big guy's almost 190 points and the other ones are like 150. So that might have been it. Yeah, because I know he was running under points. So for that particular one, I brought my boss on the what's his the names are so rough in the beginning to remember on his great Gnash Tooth. So he's the one essentially on the big cat. Brought him. I brought a unit of 6 of the bows. I want to say it was 1 unit of Gut Rippers, and then 2 units of the Hobgrots. So remember, 750, not that great. Hobgrots, I was like, hey, we're going to need points. These guys are great at sitting on a point. That sounds like an awesome idea. The Manticore Bolt Boys, they actually do work. So let me get 6 of those guys because it's as many as I have.
Yep.
I want to say we lasted till turn 3. I forget the exact mission. I don't remember the name
To
of
be
it.
fair,
But
what happened to your HQ that you charged up the board? Because that's kind of like where I left.
Oh, okay. Yes.
Yeah,
So
you left.
so mission wise, we played the one where there's 2 objectives on each side. Nothing matters essentially except if anyone ever has all 3 objectives, they automatically get the full win. Otherwise, for the lower level win, it's by battle tactics. No other points, anything like that. So, first turn, I decide, hey, you know what? I think I can kill his warlord. I had given my kill boss on the Gnash Tooth, I gave him the Arcane Tome because I wanted a wizard. So I made him a wizard. I chose the Black Pit, which is the one that I roll versus your armor save per model. If I roll your armor save or better, I cause you a mortal wound. His armor saves are not great, so I didn't bother using it against him. But I was like, you know what? And I gave him Fasten because he's on a steed. Fasten says in my hero phase, I can make a normal move. So I can essentially have him 20 inches up the board in 1 turn if I want. So
Okay.
I decided to do that. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to choose a battle trait killing his warlord. He doesn't have many units. If I can kill the warlord, I can make it out against these other guys. I got a 3-up save. I can all out defense. I'll get to a 2-up save. I can do some good. My bow guy shot him. My bolt boys shot him. They did. Now the guy, he did give him a 5-up, the 5-up ward, the arcane, arcane amulet or whatever it's called. They do 6, 7 wounds to him. They do over half of his wounds because he's 12 wounds. So they do over half his wounds. My guy rushes up the board. He does all but 1 wound. So I get 11 wounds through on him. If I had either rolled a little better, I rolled pretty good, but if I rolled a little better, or if he didn't have that ward save, he would have been long dead. So I missed my battle tactic because he lives with 1 wound. I even
Oh
all
my
out.
God.
I even did the
Oh, that's the
finest
worst,
hour.
though.
Yeah, I did finest hour as well. So you could survive. He took like no wounds back from the swings. And I had cast Arcane Bolt. Arcane Bolt, the way that works, either if you don't know or if anyone else doesn't know, you cast it on yourself in your hero phase. At any other start of a phase until you go again, if you are within 12 inches, you do a mortal wound to someone. So you can pick a target and 12 do mortal wound. If you're within 3 inches, so if you're engaged in close combat, you do D3 mortal wounds. So I had this loaded in. I should have casted it earlier. So he goes to the top of his turn, because I went first. He forced me to go first. Top of his turn in his hero phase, I set off my arcane bolt, kill him. So I missed him by a wound, but I killed him at the top of the next. So I was feeling reasonably good. Not in a bad spot. Looking okay. And then those the rock guts start coming in. So one, they're 4 wounds, so that's rough. They don't have much of a save, but they do essentially have a ward. Because they have stone skin, so they pretty much have a ward save as well. So his whole army, I do mortal wounds. His whole army essentially has ward saves. But they throw boulders. They hit like a truck because they are base 3 damage. They're 3s and 2 attacks each, so not too many. 3s and 3s, -2 rend, 2 damage. Oh, sorry, 3 damage. So that means any hits he gets through just level me. He went at my kill boss on the Gnash Tooth. He did just enough to essentially kill him with the first unit. If he hadn't, I was at that point charged with my gut repos and stuff like that. We have a WA ability where when I select my general to fight, 2 other units may fight as long as they're within 18. Everyone was nice and close. This is a small board. Probably would have been able to do some real good. Nothing. My Hobgrats actually killed one of those rock guts. But I ended up with, I don't even know, like half of a unit left. He was able, as starting turn 3, whoever goes second can take an objective off the board. So he chose to take off the objective that he didn't control, because he was going second. And that mission says, as soon as one player controls every objective on the board, win the game. He controlled every objective on the board at that point, won the game instantly. I mean, I only had my bolt boys left anyway, so I wasn't going to beat him, but I might have killed a couple units, maybe. But it was rough. It was good in the beginning. I think I'm throwing him out there too much. I'm kind of in these smaller points totals. I'm trying to be bold and seeing what happens, and he wasn't surviving well enough, I think was the problem. But
that makes sense.
Yeah, you can't do anything against the models that are doing 3 wounds if you fail your save. Which is what happened last night. So last night, I played against Iron Jaws.
Yes, the orcs, okay.
Yeah. He had...
that's a tough army with a small board. That's a tough army to beat.
Yeah, we were playing 1,000 points for that because it's what I have fully painted, and for at least right now, I only really want to pay my fully painted stuff because it motivates me to paint. And after having played it, I realize some of the things I have to paint. So he has an Auric Megaboss. He has his War Chanter. He has his I think it's a Shaman. He had, I want to say it was only 1 unit of Ard Boys. But he had 2 units of Brutes as well. So for anyone who doesn't know, now I'm not going to go through all of it because I don't have the rules in front of me. I know I'll get a few things wrong, but essentially, they have their rule that in their hero phase, spending command points and all, but in their hero phase, that you can choose a unit, and if they're outside of 12, they get a move. If they're inside of 12, they get a charge, and if they're in combat, they get a consolidation. Well, we said before that, hey, if you have this ear-splitting yell or this, bone-crushing yell, whatever its name was, that you can issue the same command to multiple people without paying a cost. That means that he can get multiple units of his army to start moving up. So I end up choosing first turn because I want to try to be able to take down his War Chanter, because War Chanters can do a whole lot of good. He gave it the ability where it's, what is it? They get like +1 to hit. They had a different ability from someone else that can cause them to cause additional wounds and all kinds of things.
Okay.
So I was like, let me try to kill this guy. He rightly so, the guy had a ward save, so I wasn't able to kill him. I wasn't able to get enough bows into it. For this list, I had 2 units of Gut Rippas. I had a 6-man of the Bolt Boys. I had and then eat one of each of the heroes I have painted up. So I had the guy on the Gnash Tooth. This time I gave him the amulet so that we had a 5-up board. Gave him the fast stone as well. I did the dirty trick of -1 to wound me in the first turn so I wouldn't get hurt. I allowed myself to redeploy a unit because that's his warlord trait. And I also had a swamp caller and a just a kill boss just on foot with his little stabby crap. Try my best, can't kill his war chanter. Kill several units of his Ard boys. Ard boys, when they're close to the shaman, they get their rally on a 4-up instead of a 6. So he ends up bringing back the units I killed anyway. I don't really do much my first turn. I attempt to charge my kill boss on Gnash Tooth in, but he rightly so, and me wrongly missing this, he rightly so retreated when I got close because he wanted to control when the charges happened.
Yeah, exactly.
And I did do my finest hour, and my guy's better on the charge. If it was on the charge, he's 2s and 2s. So he pulled back. I missed an 8-inch charge with a reroll. Started his turn. He was within 12 to start doing some charges. He got 1 charge to work. That was the charge onto my leader. All of his other charges failed, including with rerolls, because if he issues the reroll, he can issue it to more than 1 unit. He failed. I'm pretty sure. I think he failed the rest of them that turn. The next turn he gets them in. No, he made it with the Ard boys onto my Bolt boys, but I killed several on the charge in, and then, the nice thing about the army, about Cruel Boys is if you roll a 6, if no matter what, if I'm rolling 6s, I'm causing mortals. Well, the Bolt Boys had been given the poison, so essentially they're mortals on 5s and 6s, and it stays until I go again, which means they were still on 5s and 6s. So they're 2 attacks each, 6 of them, so there's 12 attacks.
Yeah.
If I get 5s and 6s mortals, I happen to roll rather well. So between that and my Gut Rippas getting in, because the Gut Rippas were already in combat at that point with them, just with his movements I was in, I don't remember if I killed him right that turn or if I killed him at the top of the next turn, but I was able to kill him out just with these guys. He puts his Gorgon... Oh, sorry, he had a unit of 3 Gorgundras. That's what it was. His Gorgundras on the side, come into my boss. Hit my boss. That doesn't do too much, honestly. I was able to shrug it off because I have a good save. When we remembered that I should swing, I actually killed one of the pigs and half killed another pig. But then his war boss comes in. Do you know what the war boss does?
Oh yes, the one on
the mega boss, I should say.
He crumps is the word.
Yes,
he crumps very harshly.
Yeah. So once per game, he can essentially do instead of his normal amount of wounds, he essentially makes it where he does 5 wounds per. So his Ren's not great. It's not a great Ren. It's like Ren -1, but he was doing 5 damage each attack. He has 8 attacks. And he gets more if he kills things and more wounds. So he does his 8 attacks in. I save all but 2. That means I have 10 wounds coming in at me, and my guy's down to 8 wounds remaining. All right. If I make 3 saves, I live. I made 1. 1 5-up. So he dies. It all honestly just kind of collapses from there. Points wise, we are very close because I was able to get my battle tactics every round. He missed his battle tactics one of his rounds. I got mine each and every round. I didn't quite cap an objective. The biggest problem was by the end, he did table me, but closer to the end, it's like, yeah, we're close on points, but I have like 7 models left. You're surrounding me. Like I was able to kill one of his units of brutes. I killed all of his stuff right into the middle, and then he came at me with his boss once he had handled my general and all.
Yeah.
The problem was I just didn't have enough models. So the points were close, but then I ended up getting tabled. We played it was 3 objectives per side. 1 for 1, another point for 2 or more, another point if you control more, and starting turn 2 you can burn opponents' objectives for 2 points, but then you rip them from the board. So we were playing that. But it was a good game. It showed me a few things. One, I think I put myself out there a little too much. I think I have to be a little more cagey. Although I will say with Iron Jaws, because they might have some movement in the hero phase, and then they get to move, and then they could charge. That you either have to play into them or you have to play super far back because deployment zones were half the board. He could have been 9 inches from me, and if I didn't try deploying back. So
All right.
it was a good game. It was a lot of fun. It got very rough,
Unlearned.
and it showed me some of the models I need to do. I had to paint up my guy on the um on the scum raker or whatever it is because he gives everyone within 12, if they roll a 6 they do +1 additional mortal wound.
Ooh, okay, that's
And
nice.
yeah, and he has some other good abilities. He's the one who can eat a hero, and he's pretty strong. He's got some good attacks. He's got his bite. He's got multiple attacks, but his one bite is D3 +3 wounds if it goes off. And again, and normally you don't get the poison weapons on your mounts unless it says so. That particular mount has it, so all of its
Oh, okay.
attacks. Yeah, so it's Sludge Beast. That's what it is. So the Snatcher Boss, all of his then have it, and it's a good number of attacks then. And with high amounts of damage, so you can really cause some damage with him. So I got to get
All
him
right.
painted up. He's like 315 points, so I think he's this week's project. Once the bolt throwers are done,
That sounds good.
then it's to them. Yeah.
Wow, it sounds like you had fun, man. Sounds like you had fun.
It was. Yeah, it was good. I'm hoping this week if I can
Which
get
is
a few
good.
things painted, might be able to play maybe closer to 1250, bring that big boy in or something like that, and really get a better feel for the army. Right now, I don't have a good feel for them because I'm taking chaff units and battle line. That's about what I got in a couple of heroes. I really want to be able to take some of the monsters, something that really gives it some uniqueness.
All right, sounds good.
We'll have to get
No,
some
but it's like
Sigmar in
again,
soon.
at the end of the day, you had fun. So it's just
Yes. Oh yeah. It was a lot of fun. It was. So you did a with 30K event? Is that what you
yeah.
did?
So Mythicos usually once a month. So I'm part of like a 30K group.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of events down at Mythicos in Randolph. And I'm not, and they usually have 30K night at Mawa as well. So for
Okay.
anyone who listens and loves 30K, just
Mm-hmm.
leave a message or whatever, and I'll hit you up with what our information on what to join. But yeah, no. So every month we have like a narrative, basically a narrative event,
Okay.
because that's what 30K is. So like,
It's
oh,
probably
sorry,
what fits it
30K.
best. Yeah, it should
Yeah,
be narrative.
it's. I mean, you can play competitively if you want, but it's much better. It's more of a beer and pretzels game, right? You could
Okay.
have a lot of fun with it. So anyway, we're doing a narrative event.
Mm.
You pay $20. They buy you pizza, and the terrain's great and everything, but it's narrative. The missions are narrative, and it's tracking. So this has been years in the making, and we're actually getting closer
Mm.
and closer to the siege of Terra. Basically, the loyalists are retreating and retreating, trying to get to Terra.
So this is like a ongoing custom campaign someone put together.
Kind of yes and kind of no. So again, it's not a campaign because it's not the same people and there's no
Yeah.
tracking of units or tracking.
Okay.
It is a campaign because it kind of is following a general narrative.
Okay.
It's hard to explain. That's why I said it's more of, I'd call it a narrative narrative
Okay.
game over time.
But it's a narrative game with a story. You're not just playing a
Yes,
narrative one-off
exactly.
mission.
So
You are
it's
playing
yes,
something that's leading to the
that's
next
been
thing.
happening.
Okay.
So essentially, the story this time was loyalists are on a planet, and essentially they're trying to escape. They're trying to run the blockade of traders. I took my custodies, and the idea was because custodies are guarding the palace. There's no reason why custodies would not be anywhere else but Terra.
Oh, absolutely.
But the good news is that the reason custodies are, I mean, little spoilers. If you don't want to listen, skip ahead like 15 seconds. Custodies are fighting in the webway
Okay.
underneath the Palace of Terror, right? That's actually
Yeah.
their thing. They're actually fighting demons in the webway because Magnus decided to, not do anything wrong and blow a fucking warp hole in the middle of the bottom of
No,
Terra.
he intended to go warn his father of
Yes, he
something,
did. It's a hubris.
and
It's
bad
yeah.
things happened. But
So
cue Benny Hill music.
yeah. Sadly, so because they're fighting the webway, the custodians are actually interacting with other Space Marines across across the galaxy and dragging them back to Terra, which is pretty cool, actually, if you think about it. So
Actually,
that's how
pretty
my
neat.
custodians got there. Essentially, there's a webway portal, or at least it's a rip in the warp, and they just got it piled out and said, all right, come. So it was a really cool narrative campaign. Mythicos has some really great terrain there. I fell in love with this. Oh my God, they built this beautiful. I mean, it's a pain in the butt to put models inside, but this beautiful, beautiful half destroyed church with beautiful Greco columns, and at the very top it has this huge statue. The terrain piece takes up like the entire middle of the board, but just to play like in it was just, oh my God, it's just I just put my models in there, just not even for a reason, just to look cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, so it was I actually got a plaque. I got best
Oh.
loyalist general, so I was real happy about that because
So that was
it's
from just
narrative.
having the best record, or
Yeah, little no, because I actually tied the first game.
okay.
It was just, it's kind of, you give it to the person who's like just having the most fun and being good, and also I guess winning the
Okay.
most. I don't know. It's hard to explain. Yeah, it's a little bit of every. It's
Okay.
again, it's not
A little
competitive. It's
more
narrative. You give
narrative.
it to
Yeah.
like,
Got it.
yeah. Um, and so yeah, no, it was the entire day, and it's almost, what it reminds me of. I remember the Games Workshop had those old, Baltimore Games Days places. That's what it reminded me of.
Yeah.
That's what
Oh,
it
bunker.
basically is. Yeah, and then they give you lunch and everything, so it's great. It's great. The custodians, it wasn't 2,000, 3,000 points. It was only 1,500 points. So for that, you don't bring that many custodians.
No. You
And
don't.
I play very fluffy custodians. I don't. The thing about 30K is you can actually cheese ball. Every army has a cheese ball list. You can absolutely run a cheese ball list in 30K, and
Okay.
every army has access to cheesy. Um, I don't. No one does that because the 30K community is just small enough that your name will get spread as a bad person. As TF, that effing guy. So
Yeah.
you won't. You don't do that. It's kind of a self-policing mechanism. So I usually take a very balanced force of custodians. I take a fluffy force. You have your custodian guard, but also take Sisters of Silence because they always kind of pair up with custodians as a just in case there's demons, just in case there's psychic, you know,
Yeah.
stupidity around. They shut that down. There's always a Sister of Silence contingent with them. So I always take it. I don't take a full custodians. And they did really well. Like the first game I played was against Steve, an Iron Warrior,
Okay.
who I've played against before. I actually played with him in the park, and me and him have the funniest, closest games. Oh my God. So for example, like when we played in the park, this is going back quarantine time. We played in the park in Nickel Park, and one of my custodian guards sat on objective for 5 turns, so getting hit by 3 Medusa shells every single turn. And in this game, it's instant death. Strength 10 versus toughness 5. It's double your toughness, so you just
It's
instantly
old
die. He
rules.
doesn't
I
kill a
forgot
whole.
about
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
exactly. But my guy just kept making his FORP save, his FORP invulnerable. He was just like, nah, I got this. 5 freaking turns. The rest of his squad died. He was just sitting there. And ironically, I won by 1 point because of that. And we were just laughing and laughing and he survived. So I actually remodeled him. I ripped off his sword, gave him a cape, and gave him a fist, and turned him into a header on guard. I actually turned him into the elite guard unit of the Custodies, which is the header on guard.
Did
And
you
I
ensure when you put his
wait.
nameplate on that he had a very special name?
Oh yes, he does. And not only that, he's got a very tiny Iron Warrior helmet on his base. And he's pointing. He's got his fist is pointing across the battlefield. And the joke is he's
Nice.
pointing at him. I only bring him if I'm facing him. So it's just that's 30K. You have fun with it. So that was the first game, and we tied that game, and the tie came down to it's so embarrassing. So speaking of, remember how I was talking about rad missiles at the very beginning, the radiation
Yeah.
missiles?
Yeah. Might
So
as well talk.
his destroyer squad hits my commander. I had to break away during the game. I had to break my commander away from his Terminator squad to just kind of charge the commander in one direction, charge the Terminator squad in another direction. And the captain, of course, smashed whatever he hit, but then he's out in the open. So he took a kind of leap of just absolute ridiculousness and shot him with a missile launcher. Now, normally that would hurt, but I got a 2-up save, and the missile launcher is 83, so I still get my 2-up save. Who cares? I roll a 1. So he takes a wound, and now his toughness is reduced down to toughness 4, because they're normally toughness 5, which is massive because now his massive, large group of bolt pistols their strength 4 come raining down and just absolutely destroy my captain. And I was just sitting there like he just got killed by bulk pistols. Oof. Yeah, so that was a good game. We tied in that game. The second game I played, I did win, and it was a little closer than normal, but that was only he had a very
Remember what you played
shooty
against?
army, and
What
another
what
Iron
what army
Warrior.
was
There
it?
was another Iron Warrior.
Oh, another Iron
He had
Wars?
a
Okay.
yeah, he had a much more shooty army is the problem. He had a much more shooty army, which I mean, when I say shooty, so Custodes die in one of two ways. The easiest way to kill Custodes, for those who want tactics, you bring plasma, because plasma's rapid fire, but also AP2, and it's strength 7. So it's going to wound me on 2s, it's going to make me take my invuls, and it's cheap enough that you can spam plasma. And it's 2 shots each, you know? So that's how you kill. Or you bring a lot of high-powered, high-damage shots. So something like Volkite. You know, Volkite strength 7, 4 shots, or strength 6, 2 shots, right? And a squad of 20 can put out 40 shots. And it's just that you just drown me in weight of fire. But he didn't have that. He had like the normal list of Iron Warriors, which was not great again. It basically wasn't a good pairing. It wasn't a good pairing. I was able to survive the fight, hold on to my objectives. I did. Highlight of the game was I did punch through a dreadnought. So custodians have like a fist, a power fist, but you know they're strength 5, so that becomes strength 10. So I absolutely punched right through the core of a dreadnought that he tried to charge in. And then the last game was another close game, but that was a win for me. It was the Word Bearers, which are the traitors of the traitors, and that was a slugfest because Gal Vorback are basically the demon-infused Chaos Space Marines of the 30K realm, and they just, oh my god, that was just a
very nice
bloodbath back and forth. Yeah, it was just, it was not a, it was. I think I had 2 models left on the board to his like 4. It was a bloodbath. It was an absolute bloodbath. But yeah, no, overall, great game. And then what's cool is next month, and I think the tickets already sold out, but next month, it's a continuation of that same campaign, except it's taking place on the moon. And the theme here is that it's hazardous atmosphere. So any shots you're taking are going to be automatically shred, automatically rending. Which
what is shred?
Oh, shred lets you reroll wounds on shooting.
Okay, got it.
Rending is on 6s to wound. It becomes AP2, which basically makes you force and invulnerable. So if you have like a high number of shots, you just rend right through models because and the restriction is you have to bring. It is basically vehicles only. You could bring infantry, but if you're bringing infantry, they must have a attached vehicular transport, right? Because they
Do
cannot.
Custodes have vehicles?
Yes. Oh, yes, they do. Oh, lovely. Oh, okay. So you got Forge World open, I'm assuming, right?
Yeah.
So,
well, if not, I can open Forge World.
Yeah. So Custodes, it's fun. The fun fact is everything in 30K can be used in 40K, except for one tank, and it annoys me. It's the Sisters of Silence tank. It's the Dune tank, which makes no sense because it shows up in 40K novels. So it's like, why don't... Anyway, that's just a slight peeve of mine. But yeah, if you go to 30K, you go to Legio Custodes, and probably have to do like price high to low, actually. So you'll see... I'll wait for you.
I don't see the Custodes stuff. I see
The
Royal
Legio
Legion
Custodes. So you go to Horus Heresy, you go to Armies of the Imperium, and then Legio Custodes.
Horus Heresy. Anyone
on the
else
side
there can follow along at home. I see Loyal Legion Astartes, Traitor Legions, Mechanicum, Armies of the Imperium.
Yeah,
Got
Armies of the
it. Yeah,
Imperium, and then Legio Custodes. And then
Oh,
do it by
someone,
price high to low.
they do that assault drop. That's
Yeah.
Is the model as ugly as it looks, or is that just the way
No,
they
so I hate, first of all, one of the reasons
job?
I don't own, so I don't own either the Ares or the Orion because I think they're ugly as hell.
But they're also super expensive.
Yeah. Well, yes. Now drop down. There's the Coronis. This is the Custodes specific troop transport, and I hate
I've
it.
seen one of these before. Yeah,
Ugly, but it's also massive. That thing is like the size of a Spartan. I don't know if you've ever seen a Spartan on the board. These things are that size. They're massive. But I also do not like. They're expensive, and I hate the way they look. The other types of tanks they have are gunship tanks. So these guys I like a lot more, and these are probably going to be my next Persich eventually.
The
Why does
grav
that say
tanks.
from one? Yeah, why does that say from 138? Hold on, did it like discounted? No longer available. What the hell? Whatever. Yeah. So you have the Calidus Annihilator, which is your anti-tank gun, and you have the Calidius, which is your the more of your like anti-infantry gun, and then as I scroll down, you have the Palace, which I do own, and the Palace is the
Okay.
cutest little, the cutest little anti-tank. It's great. I love it. It's fast. It's annoying. It's basically an Eldar jet bike. But then where is these stupid Oh, you know why? Stupid. Go to Sisters of Silence
Okay, the
on
other
your Armies
vehicles. There's
Imperica, and
got it.
there it is. It's called the Acquisitor, and that is a great. I love this vehicle. And I modeled it with the nose closed, but it also comes with the nose open, and you can see that in the
Terra
pictures.
Pattern Inquisitor. Yeah, I'm going to see
Yeah,
pictures.
and it's just such a damn cool model. If you notice the little things on the side, right? You see those little
Yeah,
kind of like weird looking person
these look like
silhouettes.
doors.
That's that's where they keep psychers that they captured.
Oh,
They
okay.
shove them in there in dead silence. Because remember, Systems of Silence can't be affected by them at all.
Yeah.
So they can literally just shove them in there to capture. But yeah, no, this model is one of my favorite models of all time. It is such a good looking model. It's chunky as hell. It is a chunk of resin, but
It's
it is
it's very interesting because it in no way reminds me of a GW model. It doesn't look like one.
no, no,
It's very, very different.
and again I say it's a really damn cool model. It's up there on the list of like one of my favorite models I've ever seen. But yeah, no. So one of the restrictions is you have to take troop transports. So my list is 2 sister squadrons with these transports. Because I don't own a Calidius, I'm not, or a Coronis, I'm not taking custodians, and then I'm taking every single dreadnought that I own.
Oh, okay.
So it's literally going to be a March of Iron, which is amazing for me. I love that idea. Um, so it's basically every single Contemptor I own and the Telemons I own. So that's going to be fun for me to bring. That I'm excited for. But yeah, no. So that's how I'm. And the reason I'm doing that, by the way, I should point out, is because
Mhm.
Legios. So Custodies don't do this. Mechanicum kind of do this. And the Solar Auxilia can do this. But essentially, when you build your Legion in 30K, you can choose a certain. How do I explain this? Okay, you know how in your not Gloomsky kits, what are they called? Your
Uh,
orcs. What are they called?
Cruel
Orcs.
Boys.
Orcs, right? Cruel Boys. You know, in your Cruel
Yeah.
Boys, they have like different camps or whatever they're called that you
Yeah.
can choose from, right?
Yeah.
Legios have that. And depending on what kind of camp you choose, you can choose 5 basic ones or 2 to 3 Legion specific ones. And it changes your list composition. So, for example, for this one, it is highly recommended you take. I forgot what it was called because I don't play Space Marines. Let's just call Demolition, right? And the idea
Okay.
is instead of having the normal composition of 2 HQ, 2 troops, 3 each, you get 6 heavy support, 4 elites, 2 troops. Or it basically gives you more heavy supports, and it makes your tanks count as HQ or troops. So you can take Predator tanks as an HQ, or you can take Predator tanks as a troop choice.
Okay, so it's
So
the old 40K I can't remember the name of those.
it doesn't really translate to 40K. You maybe
No,
like
they
6th
used to
edition,
do this.
5th edition, yeah.
Yeah, they
But
used to
that's
because
essentially
it's
what it
4 sword
is.
charts. They used to have different 4
Yes.
sword charts. If you fit a particular thing, like they had the Hunter Cadre, I remember for Tau, where if you fit that, you had a very different looking 4 sword chart, and you got special rules on
Okay.
top of it. So yeah, it's a 4
Okay.
sword chart.
Yeah. So basically, you can shoot, like, for example, and then there's Legion specific ones I should point out. So, for example, White Scars, which is one of the armies I used to play,
All
White
bikes.
Scars have Ride the Lightning or something, and your HQ had to be on a bike, and everything had to be on a bike. You could have no foot troops whatsoever, or it had to be in a transport like a Rhino,
Mhm.
and that was one of the restrictions. But you also got like hit and run. You got like special rules unlocked, right? Because you're so limited. So that's basic. Now, custodies don't do that. Custodies are their own thing, which I wish they did, because custodians actually do have, like in 40K, they do this. But they do have different watches. There's the Solar Watch, there's the Shadow Keepers, there's the Emissaries of the Imperium. They have different watches that do different things. So I wish 30K kind of embraced that a little bit more. But Legios do that. Mechanicum does that. They have 3. They have Cybernetica, which is your robot-focused one. Pragmata, which is your basic one, and then you have Reductor, which is your I'm going to bring all the artillery whatsoever. It's basically your tank and Thalax. But yeah, no. So that's how I got around. This was a long way of me saying that's how I got around list building, where I took my 2 sisters in troop transports, and then I brought all the vehicles I own, which is all my walkers, and that's the theme, just walkers of death.
Got it.
And that's gonna be the narrative. It's gonna be fun.
No, it sounds good. It definitely does.
Yeah.
That's something you'll definitely have fun with.
That's
so I have Facebook open on a different tab. So I closed that tab and it showed up, and we saw that all of your painting yesterday did not go for nothing. Luke actually took first place in that RTT.
No, he didn't. Hold on, let me see. Did he?
Why would I lie about that? Yes.
Did he? So here's what I asked him for: a damn picture, because I couldn't see what they looked like, because the gnome oil was still drying right when he packed it up.
Okay.
And I was like, "Give me a picture, please, please, give me a picture." And he's like, "I'll give you one," and he never did, and I'm so mad. But he actually, oh yeah, look at that! Oh, that's awesome.
Told you.
Oh man, there's no picture of the damn army though. Well, let me see. If I can... Oh, hold on. Come on, Mythicals. Oh wait, here we are. Some shots of today's Star Wars. No, don't care. All right, hold on. Spooky Star Wars. No. Here we are. Okay. There we go. Is this no? Did they really not get pictures?
You can get pictures from him from the army. You know him.
I'm so bad.
It'll be fine. You'll be able to get pictures. Don't worry.
Bad. I'm like, come on, give it to me now. Oh, he got first place. That's awesome. It's a harsh list. He brought 9 Venoms, and it's just
I'm sure. I have
it's
no
Dark
doubt
Elder,
that it was a harsh list.
It's Dark Elder and Mechanicum are just leagues ahead of, like, there's so there's like A, B, C tier, S tier, right? Adeptus and Mechanicus and Dark Eldar are not just S tier, but they're like super S tier. Like they're so far up leagues above what it should be. It's hard to explain. Like they're just not even S tier. They're like unbelievable.
Yeah, they're S, and the next best is a B.
Yes, that's exactly what it is. They're so good that they push everything else to B tier, which is sad because it kind of destroys the game a little bit. But whatever, it happens. But yeah, no, that's 30K in a shot show. That's what I've been doing.
All right. Well, that's a good amount of gaming, which is nice.
It is.
All right, so probably think we'll call it there. That gives us both plenty of time that we've been talking, but also plenty that we have talked about. So a little bit for the future, I'm probably going to release a little separate episode to talk about at some point soon. A little bit of format and things like that. The potential that we have is we might be going in two sort of directions here, where Dan and I are covering some more GW style things, and I'll be talking with some other people to cover more Marvel Crisis Protocol and all of that, and then we can kind of go back and forth on those. That way it kind of solidifies a little bit closer to what might be of actual interest to people, so that way you're not hearing necessarily a whole bunch of things that you don't care about. You can hear a little bit closer to what matters to you. As always, I want to thank everyone for listening. If you want to reach out to us or anything like that, it's terrainkickersnj@gmail.com. You can leave information there. If you found us on any of your podcasting sources, feel free to leave a review. iTunes is always the best one to leave a review, because that's the one that usually ends up being the one that really determines some ranking and all. And clicks, listens, reviews, all of that gets you noticed. So all of that would be nice. We're also going to work on trying to get a little bit more of a normal schedule. I'd like to get the episodes out on Fridays. Some weeks get out of hand. This week got a little bit out of hand, but we're going to try to get a little bit more regular with that schedule. For next week, or the next time, it should be next week, but it might be the week after, depending on when some of this shakes down. Next topic, though, the plan is to discuss a little bit of hobbying in the busy world. So hobbying, how to keep, both yourself motivated, but also how to try to find the time to actually do it. As people with full lives, careers, and Dan with a small child as well, we thought that would be a good thing to go over and to discuss how we're sitting with all of that.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, good. Thank everyone for listening,
Thank you,
and
everyone, for
we'll see
listening.
everyone next time.
Exactly.